everyone. Welcome to Paper Slides. Okay, so the reason I wanted to do this presentation is I forgot about how amazing this strategy is. And I've been cleaning up my drive, which has been a hot mess. And I know people are asking to have resources. Please keep asking because everything got unshared. It's in different folders. Yeah, it's a hot mess. And I should have waited. But I'm working it through. So with your help, thank you. But today I want to talk about paper slides because I found this in my Google Drive as I was cleaning. And I want to use this more throughout the school year this year. So it's a really quick and fun activity. It's low technology. So I think you're going to love it. So here it is. You're like, what is it? It's just paper. It's paper slides. So instead of a Google slide, students actually use paper to create their slide deck, which is crazy because I know so often we're like, oh, just use, slides. But the kids love these. They get to use all their different markers. They get to use paper, and then they get to create all of these fun slides. And I'm really sad to admit this, but I haven't used this strategy since I stopped teaching. And now I'm an instructional technology coach. And now I'm like, okay, who is going to do paper slides with me? Because I love this activity so much that we did it a lot throughout the year that I was teaching. And then I don't know what happened. I just kind of forgot about this strategy until I was searching my drive, and I actually found some old videos from students. So there are some student examples if you're interested. But here are just some ideas, okay? So if you teach math, you could use it to have students solve a word problem or a math problem. If you're doing writing, students can write a story. If you're doing reading, they can maybe work on closed reading skills. And then if you're doing science, students explain a concept like the rock cycle. And then finally, social studies students demonstrate the different types of maybe governments or something like that. And Mel, I am exhausted today. I didn't sleep well. I don't know why. So I've been up since 3 a.m. and I'm probably going to crash very soon. But I do love presenting and I love sharing these ideas and I love paper slides. Okay, so first things first. Oh, actually, first things first is I need to share the slides. They're in the YouTube description. I think I did that. But if I did not do that, let me first share those slides with you guys. Okay, and also make sure you're in the Google group in order to access those slides. And I'm pretty sure I shared it. I did. So see, I'm getting better. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Mel. So there's the slides. And on this slide, I believe I linked the planning sheet and I sent this out and I forgot to click the uncheck. It's on slide number 4. So slide number 4 has the storyboard. Okay. So first things first is the student's plan. So they just have this blank planning sheet and then they draw their different ideas. They make notes. They write what they kind of want to map out. Students usually work in groups of 4 to 3 per group. And then again, they just kind of duplicate these. Oh, they duplicate these slides. And then I would do paper 3, paper 4, or if you're lazy like me, I probably wouldn't even number these. Oh, thank you, Patricia. See, I'm doing so much better. Okay. And so again, students just they have all these different thoughts that they want to do. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to make a copy of this. And so I'm going to put example. Feel free to create an example with me if you want to. So on my example, I am going to do a fraction. Okay. Because in 5th grade, that's what I taught. I taught math and a lot of our focus was on fractions. And so first thing, I would probably print this paper off so my students can just make note of what they're doing. And so what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go back into StreamYard real quick and I'm going to change my mic or my camera. So that way you guys can see me working. Okay. Because this session is going to also be, can you guys still hear me? Let me know, somebody in the chat, because I've never used this. So this could go completely wrong. So right here, I've got my just blank piece of paper. Okay. And I'm just going to write paper 1, or you can use my fun planning sheet, totally up to you. But I don't have a printer at home, so I didn't want to do that. Okay, paper 4. So right there I've got, and I hope you can kind of see this. I know it's probably really hard. I don't even know if it's upside down. Like I can't even see what it's doing. Let me try to remove the screen real quick. Okay, there we go. Okay, so right here I've got paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, and this is just my brainstorming document that I did. And I would just print that out for the kids. Okay, so on paper number 1, I'm going to do a quick, what is the fraction? So I'm going to do 2/5 plus 1/10. Okay, we're going to keep it simple. So I want to just introduce the math problem to my audience. Okay, so it's just kind of like a Google slide, but it's going to be with paper. So I've got that fraction. The first step when you're multiplying or you're adding fractions is you have to change the denominators. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the problem again. And I'm going to change the denominators. And I'm actually going to walk through how I do that. And so I do 5, 10, 15, 20, 10, 20, 30. Oh, 10 is the common. And then what I do is I'm going to multiply this by 2 because I went 5, 10. That took 2 times. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. And so that becomes 4/5. So now I have 4/5 plus, oh my gosh, 4/10 plus 1/10. So then that's 5/10. And see why we're kind of doing it on paper. And actually, I decided that I want to make this part paper number 3. And so that's what the students do. It's like it's their planning document. It's a huge hot mess. But they're just kind of planning out what they want to do. And then I'm going to say like solve. And so then what we got? 5/10, which equals 1/2. Okay. And so then they're going to take this paper and then they're going to actually create their slides. So if we go back, they are now going to create. So right there, they're going to create their paper slide. Okay, so I've got my paper. The students will have all their fun little markers. I don't really have too many fun markers. These are more like pens, so it's going to be a little hard. Actually, I'm going to use a Sharpie. So I've got 2/5 plus 1/10. Okay, that's my paper number 1. A lot of times my students on the back of their paper, they'll write like what slide number this is, just because if they don't, they're going to forget the order, or they have to kind of think about what that might look like. Okay, so there you go. I got my fraction right here. The next one that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my planning sheet. We did this slide, and I'm going to now find the denominators. Students can write out different texts. They can kind of create whatever they want to do with this. And I might say, and it's so fun because you'll see all these different examples that students will do to create. And so here I've got my denominators. I might make them red. And then I want to find my common multiple, so 5 and 10. And then 10 is going to be our common one. Okay. And so that was step 1. Again, on the back, I'm going to make a little number 2, just so I remember, because students are going to have multiple different pieces of paper and they're going to get really confused if they don't number them. I mean, they can kind of solve it too, but it just helps with time. Okay, so now that I've got this step, I go back to my paper and I said, oh yeah, I wanted to do that for the last part. So now I'm at step 2. And again, students are working in groups to create this. And so here I might do, let's see here, 2/5 plus 1/10. And I said my common multiple was 10. And they can add their own artwork as well. This is really good for word problems too. A lot of times my students did word problems. And so now whatever I multiply to get 10, I need to do it to both the bottom and the top. So 5 times 2 is 10. And then 2 times 2 is 4. Keep that 1/10 because it would just be multiplied by 1. Okay. And now they're ready to solve. So I've got my new fraction. And then if I divide both the 5 by the top and the bottom, I then get 1/2. And I could have done this on another sheet of paper. So just kind of think about that. Like your students could kind of break this up however they wanted to. And that's why this planning sheet is really huge for them, because then they're able to do that. Okay. So then the final step is to, hold on, wait for it, publish. So now the students are ready to publish their work. And so what that means is they're going to take their paper slide and they're going to grab an iPad, a cell phone, whatever they can use to record their work. And so they could use Flipgrid, WeVideo, they could use whatever application they can for video, okay? And so then what the students do is we used iPads and they would hold them up. I'm using the, what is this called? The IKEA something device, the document camera, that would work as well. And so right here, what the students do is they're ready to publish. They decide who's going to say what, who's responsible for what slide. And what's really cool is just like Google Slides, some of the transitions. So they might say 2/5 plus 1/10. What I did is I found the common denominator, which was 10. And I actually got these out of order. So see why it's important to number them. Yeah, the IKEA cam. Let me start over my publishing because I'm just a mess. Let me make sure I got these all in order. I do. Okay. So now they're ready to publish. So we've got 2/5 plus 1/10. Okay. And we're going to walk through how to solve fractions with uncommon denominators, adding. To do so, we have 5 and 10. 5 and 10 are different denominators and they do not match. And so we need to find the common denominators. And so what I did is I went ahead and I did 5, 10, 15, 20. And then I took 10, 10, 20, 30, 40. I found that 10 was the common denominator. And so the next step is we are going to take 10 and make that the denominators. And so to do that, we did 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. 10 times 1 is 10. 1 times 1 is 1. Now I'm going to add them right across, and I've got 4/10 plus 1/10. 4 plus 1 is 5/10, and I can divide this by 5 to get a fraction of 1/2. And then they can do like all this fun stuff with like their transitions. Like you can kind of see them like I did that, or they could like kind of go like this, and they can have really fun transitions with their slides, just like they can in Google Slides, but it's on paper. So that's a math example. Okay, ELA. Trying to think of a good example. I taught math, so let me think. Give me some ideas in the chat. What would be fun to see for ELA? Maybe they're reading a book and they could summarize it. And so maybe they are reading a book and they need to draw what they're seeing. And so they're using more of a sketch note. And so like they're drawing out what's happening in the story. And then they're just retelling the story by their sketch notes. So right here, they might use like whatever, and then they would flip the page. And then they would do their next sketch note, talk about the next page, and so on. So that's one idea. I'm trying to think of others with ELA that my teachers do. Inferences. So maybe right here, the kids like write a story and then they have like another slide that's like a transition slide that says like, what is the inference? And then they answer their own question like, oh, it's raining because he had a raincoat on or whatever. So that could be another kind of way that they could do it. Trying to think what else would be fun. And feel free to throw ideas in. Okay. Yeah, so just kind of throw ideas. I'd love to brainstorm more on ELA because like math is so easy. And I know like math people are like, well, math is never easy, you know, with tech. But math problems, they can do all different kinds of things with math. ELA, like maybe it's inferencing, maybe it is vocabulary where the kids are writing the word and then they're drawing an example and then they're like demonstrating that word throughout the camera. That could be another idea. On the last slide has a blog post that I wrote about paper slides. And this one right here, it's another math example, but this student is just so cute. The standard algorithm is when you do a basic problem. And you can see they're just using normal notebook paper, nothing special. They have all their slides already created, so they're just publishing at this point. 15 plus our 2 is 18. We put our 1 up here to carry over the 5, and then we do 5 times 4, which is 20, plus our 1 is 21. 2,188 is our first factor. And then we're going to put our 0, the hero, right here. And then we do 6 times 7, which is 42. We put our 2. And you can just kind of see her solving that first page, and then she flips the page and now she's got this design. She flips it again and then she's got a word problem that she's going over. So this one was a little bit more detailed. She took a really good time and you can see their sketches. So like 0, the hero, we really focused on that in 5th grade because they often forgot that hero and that 0. So we often focused on that. And I just love the drawings that her and her group did together to kind of come up with some of these creative ideas. And again, I think you could do that with ELA, with vocab, or students kind of summarizing the story. Here's the slide decks. And then right here, my students, I taught a basic reading group. And so this is kind of another ELA.
Are controlled hashtag words, obviously. You have to search it. Give me words. AR. Are different sounds.
And so this was with basic reading. The students were learning about different sounds. And so what they were doing is they were taking their paper slides and they were creating the different sounds and reviewing that concept with the paper slides. So again, you can see their transitions. You can see them going over. They worked together to create the slides. Students talked over the slides. You get to see their little hands in the slides. So again, it's just a lot of fun where you're kind of able to see just some examples. Here's another math example, the math paper slideshow. And then the students just get really, really creative. So here, like underline the important information, set up your problem, keep, change, flip, and all that kind of stuff. So again, fun ideas, fun in the classroom. And I'm going to actually upload these videos to YouTube just so that they're available in a better quality. Okay, but that is paper slides in like a nutshell. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you find some use for it. As I was cleaning out my drive, I was like, oh, I need to do this year. Because they're just so much fun and the kids really, really do enjoy them. So give it a try and let me know how else you're using these. Feel free to share out on Twitter. And if you guys have any questions, you know where to reach me. You can reach me on Twitter. I'll throw my handle into the chat. So feel free to also reach me there. And also don't forget to fill out that feedback form. Let me grab that link before I post it. And that will get you a certificate of attendance. So if you need that, that is available for you as well. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining. And I cannot wait to see how you're going to use paper slides this school year.